Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's episode, we're going to be talking Reggae Girls and the triumphant, win, you could say, and progress into the second round of the Women's World Cup taking place there in Australia. And then later on, we'll jump in on a preview of the Community Shield coming up on the weekend. The Premier League is coming back quick and fast. And you could say the first piece of silverware is up for grabs. That one taking place between the treble winning Man City and the team finishing in that runner-up position, Arsenal. But viewers and subscribers, let's first jump in on the Reggae Girls and congratulations to the whole team and the staff. And to a lesser extent, the federation. We see a lot of controversial talks and statements coming out in terms of the whole financing of the Reggae Girls program. And we see now the girls are reaping success and pretty much everyone is jumping on that bandwagon. But we'll delve into that a little later in the podcast. First, let's take a look at the girls' progress in this World Cup. Of course, by now, everyone would have been aware that the Reggae Girls are now into the second round and they will be taking on Colombia. And to me, that's a fairly winnable match as well. You know, when the World Cup draw was made, we saw that Jamaica was drawn into a very strong group with the strength of the French team and the juggernaut of a team that is Brazil, along with Panama, to a lesser extent. But from the jump, all the experts had France and Brazil progressing from this group. But surprise, surprise, it was France who topped the group and Jamaica making history. Not only did they become the first Caribbean team to win a match at the Women's World Cup, but they also became the first Caribbean team to progress to the second round. And hats, and kudos and flowers, must go out to the coach and the staff, which really rallied around this team and the success which they have gained and garnered over the period. Looking at the team in terms of their performance, I haven't really been delving too deeply into the Women's World Cup this time around. However, I had to go back and take a look at the Jamaican team and what have brought them to this point in the tournament. And of course, the foundation of any good team is built on a strong defense. And that is what this team possesses. This team is well drilled defensively, and they have a very tight tactical setup, which allows team to really break them down. And as such, they are yet to concede in this tournament. They have played three, and their backline, their goalkeeper is yet to be breached. Kudos must go out to the keeper. Had a fantastic game against Brazil. In fact, capped you could say the woman of the match award in that fixture. But so far, no goals conceded from the three games they have played thus far. In terms of results, the first match, Jamaica drew 0-0 with France. Then they nicked a 1-0 victory over Panama, without their talismanic striker and captain, Bonnie Shaw. And of course, in their final game, they had to hold out. It was a draw or a win that would take them into the next round, and Brazil needed to win. And of course, that one ending in a 0-0 draw. And watching that game, you could see that the team, it was well coached. They had a tactical plan. They were aware of their strengths and weaknesses. The Brazilians dominated the possession. However, based on the tactical setup, the skill set of the girls as well, and just that tenacity, fight, and heart, and that desire, which brought them through, and they held out for a magnificent nil-nil draw. The goalkeeper in that one had 8 saves, and she made it look very easy. I was talking to a subscriber recently about this game, and they made mention that it looked easy because of her great positional sense. She was well positioned to cope with anything that the Brazilians threw at her. And of course, in front of her, you had the Swaby sisters who defended stalwartly. And up top, you had Bonnie Shaw, who at times, took the game to Brazil on her own. Jamaica was pretty much on the defensive, soaking up pressure and not seeing much of the ball. But on those few occasions, on those rare occasions when the ball actually broke, you could see that Bonnie Shaw giving her all, taking on the Brazilian defense and carving out a chance here or there. Didn't find the back of the net, but oftentimes you need that talismanic striker, that point woman to hold up play and allow the rest of the team to come into the game. And we saw that being done to a large extent in that game against Brazil. So congratulations must go out to the Reggae Girls. A magnificent performance. They have definitely made the country proud, and they have further highlighted Jamaica on the international scene. Many big personalities as well as all the top media houses have been covering the success of this team and pretty much the upset which they have pulled off in this World Cup thus far. No one expected this team to progress to the second round, and especially in the group which they were drawn in. Brazil and France were the two big name teams, and many persons did not give Jamaica any chance or any hope of progressing from the group, but they have defied all the odds and have been quite successful. And, they have definitely made us proud as a nation, and we'll be looking to even take it a step further. And I'm saying to myself, you have gone to the second round, you now have a match against Colombia. And why not? We have nothing to lose at this stage. Why not try to give it your all and see what the result is at the end of the day? And I am sure the coach and the players will be looking to progress further because no one expected them to get this far. So right now, the sky is the limit. They should be, bursting with confidence and rearing to go for this match against Colombia. So once they can stick to their principles, once the coach can formulate the right plan and the players go out and execute, I see no reason why another upset can't take place and Jamaica progress further into the quarterfinals against a fairly decent Colombian team, I would say. They are not the most offensive team in the competition. So, you know, Jamaica do have a chance, and I will not necessarily be writing off this Jamaican team. So it would not surprise me one bit if we take it a step further and get the better of Colombia and continue this fairy tale dream, which is the Reggae Girls. Of course, following the success of this team, we see many pundits, government, the JFF coming out and taking credit somewhat for their success, but the girls would have none of it. We saw the girls speaking out, in terms of the support they've been getting. And of course, we saw the coach coming out as well and saying, hey, it's time to get behind and rally behind the team. So the JFF is being called out by the players. Captain Bonishaw did an interview with Ian Wright, on one of those social media platforms. And she pretty much stated that, hey, the support has been lacking from the JFF to the point where they had to set up a GoFundMe in order to finance or to offset some of the expenses of this World Cup. And I am fully behind Bonnie Shaw in her calling out of the JFF. Long has this administration been mismanaging the women's program and football in Jamaica in general. And now is the perfect opportunity to highlight them, to show them up on the international stage when the whole world is watching. And Bunny Shaw took the opportunity and pretty much bun out the JFF in no uncertain terms, in terms of their lack of support over the years, over the period, not just for this World Cup campaign, but if memory serves me correctly, similar situation occurred in the previous campaign when Jamaica qualified for the first time in history. And now is the second coming. And from what I've been hearing, from what I've been reading, from what I've been seeing, it appears as if that support is still lacking, that, management structure that the JFF have in place for the Reggae Girls is not trickling down to ground level where the girls are actually confident of the management and administration, which we call the JFF. And as such, even before this World Cup, let me highlight it. The girls did write a letter. Bunny Shaw signed by his teammates and posted it on her Instagram, pretty much highlighting the inefficiencies of the JFF as well. So it's not just now that the girls have qualified for the second round that they are talking about the lack of support, the lack of support in general, as well as financial support for the team. You know, much times I'm hearing the girls are in limbo, oftentimes in terms of transportation, hotel accommodations, training facility, arrangement of practice matches, you name it. So it's a barrage of issues. It's a barrage of obstacles that these girls had to overcome in order to be reaping the success they are reaping at this point in time. But let not let not this negative situation cloud the success that the team has shown thus far. We should be proud of this team. We should be jumping for joy. And as a nation, especially women, it's a female team, so you would want to see that woman support for the women's sport. And not just men, men are likened to football, but this is a female team and it definitely needs to galvanize the females as well in terms of that support system and that support structure as a nation. So I'm hoping that the Jamaican public will rally behind this team, much like we see during the World Cup, people coming out in their Brazilian colors. We are not even Brazilian, but we are fully supporting Brazil. So we need to fully get behind this team as well. We have another game at the very minimum, and this is the prime opportunity for us to showcase that support, especially in this period of independence and emancipation. This is almost, a fairy tale story where we can pretty much ring in those holidays on the back of the success of these reggae girls. But we move and we look forward to the next match coming up versus Colombia. Hopefully the girls and the coaches can formulate a plan and come forward all guns blazing, taking it to Colombia and hopefully, fingers crossed, progressing to the next stage of the competition, which would be the quarterfinal stage. And again, if Jamaica was able to make it there, it would become another historic moment. It would be almost euphoric. So I'm definitely keeping my fingers crossed, and I am hoping that this momentum can carry through into the next game, and the girls just need to put their skill set on display, and I am sure they will reap the necessary rewards. But we move, viewers and subscribers, and we move to the Community Shield, the big match coming up on the weekend. The Premier League is a mere 2 weeks away. So this is the first piece of silverware. Arsenal versus Man City, of course. Usually this competition is between the winners of the EPL and the winners of the FA Cup. But lest we forget, Man City did the treble. So obviously Man City can't play against themselves. So in come the runners-up from last year, Arsenal, taking them on in the Community Shield. A charity match or a charity shield. However, since recent times, coaches have been touting this as a piece of silverware. I'm not sure what to make of it, but it's almost as if coaches are now counting this as a piece of trophy, a piece of hardware that they add to their CV. Hey, I won the Community Shield in 2022 or 2023. It's a recent phenomenon, I believe. Ever since Pep came into the league, he has been glorifying the winning of the Community Shield. Well, when in my eyes, it's a glorified friendly. Oftentimes, it's not the full complement of the team that is placed there. Oftentimes, coaches are still in preseason preparation and not willing to risk their best players or to give their best players the full 90 minutes as they are still in that phase of prepping for the kickoff of the EPL. So, who to tell what to expect? But coaches and teams have been taking this competition, I would say, quote unquote, seriously. It's bragging rights to start the season. So it should be a competitive game and it should be an opportunity for us to see what both teams have been doing in their preseason build-up leading into this one. Of course, let's now take a look at the teams and try to break down these two teams, what to expect in terms of starting 11 and indeed the result we anticipate at the end of this match. So this one taking place on Sunday, this Sunday coming up, 11 a.m. Eastern time. That would work out to be 10 a.m. Jamaica time. So you can lock that on your calendar, put an alarm on your clock, viewers and subscribers. And this one should be a mouth-watering affair. Master versus apprentice. The juggernaut of a coach, Pep Guardiola, taking on his pupil, his student, his apprentice, the man who worked under Guardiola and learned from him everything there is to learn about management and coaching. Arteta, runners up last season, which at times gave Man City a scare and a decent run for their money, but of course faded at the critical time of asking. So they should be looking to bounce back for this season and for this game. This should provide Arsenal an opportunity to get a psychological edge on Man City. And I am sure this will be in the psyche of Arteta, and he will be looking to roll out his best possible team. Last year, Arsenal was the preseason champions. Nothing could touch them in preseason, and they carried over that form into the season. This season, from my perspective, is a little different. I am seeing a different Arsenal. I am seeing Arteta tweaking the formula and thus far not getting it perfectly right. We have seen the introduction of new personnel. The midfield maestro, Shaka, is no longer at Arsenal. That leader, that steel in the middle of the park is no longer there. In comes Rice. In the defense, we see the introduction of Timber, versatile defender, multi-positional. We also see the signing of Kai Havertz from Chelsea, one of the flops of last season, now plying his trade at the Emirates. Can he make a difference? That's yet to be seen. But Arsenal definitely will be coming all guns blazing. Of course, for those following preseason, Jesus is now out injured. So Arsenal is now without, I would classify as a solid number 9. So Jesus is out and he will be out for the start of the season and possibly a number of games in the season as well. I would say at least the first 5 games he should be missing with what appears to be a fairly serious injury. So that is the big question for Arsenal. Who will start up front? Will it be the direct replacement in the form of Nketiah, or does Arteta now roll the dice and play with what you could classify as a false 9, maybe a Trossard up front or a Trossard on the left and a Martinelli playing the 9 role? So there are a few options to play with. However, for me, it will definitely be a like-for-like replacement by giving Nketiah the opportunity to shine. This is a good opportunity for Arteta to show faith in the youngster. He came in last year and did what I would classify as a half decent job. He got 2 goals against Manchester United, and that was it for the rest of the season, you know. So who to tell? He may try to do better this time around, given the opportunity again. So he came in as a replacement for Jesus last year, scored 2 goals, and that was it. Obviously, strikers are judged on the goals they score. That is it. That's a statistic that that's the number which is analyzed. Goals. You're a striker, you need to score goals. And you could say, while his general gameplay, that of Nketiah, was good, what was lacking is that cutting edge of scoring goals and taking opportunities. So let's hope Arteta remains faithful to the youngster and give him another opportunity to shine in the Community Shield and also leading into the start of the season. But Arsenal do have attacking options. But as I was telling Kiri on the podcast, Arsenal need to buy a quality number 9. Those are the most expensive players, and they are expensive for the fact that they score goals. Goals win matches. And right now, Arsenal, to me, is lacking in that department. And if they fail to bring in a quality 9, I don't give them any chance of lifting the title this season. All the other teams are now stocking up with quality 9s. Of course, Man City, going over to the Man City side of things, they have Haaland. Liverpool has Darwin, you know. Spurs has Kane. Newcastle, they have Isak or Wilson. So all the big teams, now Chelsea have gone out and bought Nicholas Jackson as well. So all the big teams in the league have quality 9s, except currently Arsenal. Jesus is out injured. If Jesus was playing, then I could say, okay, all right, they have a recognized 9, but he's out injured now. Who to tell when he will be back? You know, the physios may say 4 weeks, but then there's a setback and you're out an additional 2, 3 weeks. And then, of course, you have to get up to speed. So before Jesus become fully active, you're looking at 10, 11, 12 games into the season. By then, the title may very well have gone past Arsenal. So this is that area which they need to fill before the window slams shut. Of course, Rice could possibly make his debut in the middle of the part there. Well, I should think he will make his debut. If you pay in excess of $100 million for a player who already has Premier League experience, why would you play him on the bench? He has to be an automatic starter. So looking at the Arsenal team in terms of my predicted 11, of course, Ramsdale in goal, who has been making a few errors of late. The usual centre-back pairing of Gabriel and Saliba. Possibly a Ben White and a Timber around, filling the wing or the right back and left back roles. Two versatile players who can play multiple positions, but that's my call. Who to tell? Arteta may throw up something else. Then, of course, in the middle of the park, it has to be Rice, it has to be Odegaard. The third spot should go to Partey as well. And then up front, my call is Nketiah leading the line, flanked by Saka and Martinelli to start. And of course, Trossard should be itching on the bench. He should be the first change on the bench, if not a starter to replace Nketiah. Oftentimes it's the young lamb which is sacrificed. He is the easy target. And I expect nothing less than, he to be the first sub for Arsenal if he starts. On the Man City side, again, Man City is a machine that keep turning. Treble winning team. Pep. 5 titles, I should say, in 6 years. Liverpool was the only team to disrupt that streak. And they also pipped Liverpool by a point, a record-breaking season in terms of the number of points. And, a 1 point separated those teams in that season. But the big question for Man City going into this game and going into the season is, Will they become complacent? They have now won the Champions League. That has been the trophy which has been eluding the GOAT, Pep Guardiola. That's why I classify Pep as he is the greatest of all time in the form of managers. In my opinion, he have exceeded Sir Alex. I was listening a recent interview by one of Sir Alex's assistants recently. And pretty much, Sir Alex was more of a hands-off manager. It was the first team coach who did much of the coaching. Sir Alex was more of a man manager. But we are seeing where Pep not only do the on-field coaching, but he is a quality man manager also. Once you mess around, you're sold. You're thrown in the doldrums. You're out. And we saw that with a number of players. Sterling comes to mind. We also saw that last year when Cancelo was shipped off to Bayern. He is now back. And he seemed to have been welcomed by Pep. He has been getting some game time under his belt in the preseason. Of course, Gundogan is no longer in the midfield as well. Gundogan have, signed with Barcelona. In comes Kovacic from Chelsea, a quite technical midfield player, a like-for-like replacement for Gundogan, and he seemed to be slotting in quite nicely in that Man City midfield, which is so competitive. You have to be on your top game to even get on the field because that team has so many quality players, and the quality keep turning over the results, and it's like for like players. Mahrez is no longer at City as well. A surprise transfer. He has fallen victim, or should I say, he has fallen success to the Saudi Arabia League. The money was too much for him to turn down. And as we know, loyalty no longer exists in football. It's all about the Benjamins. Who has the biggest checkbook? That's where the quality players are going. We see the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo heading over there to the Desert League, as I call it. We see the likes of Fabinho, Desert League, Henderson, Desert League, Neves from Wolves, Desert League, Mahrez, Desert League. So quality players, Sadio Mane, former Liverpool and former Bayern Munich player now is headed to the Desert League also. The money is just too much to turn down for these players. And the Desert League is becoming a formidable force in the world currently. All eyes are now on the Desert League. It's just a matter of time before they get a big TV deal, which brings Far East Desert League football to the Western world and start to rival the likes of the EPL, La Liga, the Bundesliga, etc. That is the future. Money talk. And Saudi Arabia has the money in billions to spare, So a lot of quality players are being attracted. Benzema as well over there in the Desert League. So quality players are going over there, and as quality players go, the quality of the league will be lifted, but not to stray from the original point. Man City, what is the takeaway? What is the lineup that should be rolling out to face this Arsenal team? Ederson in goal. That's a linchpin. Quality keeper with the ball at his feet and will make the exceptional saves as well. It's very difficult to read Pep. Pep is a very unpredictable manager, and to me, that is what sets him apart from the likes of even a Klopp. Klopp would be second to him in the league, and with Klopp, Klopp becomes predictable, not very flexible, not very versatile. Pep is constantly evolving. Every season he comes with something new. He comes with something unexpected, something that you're not anticipating. And I am sure this season he will come with something as well. Last season, it was the revolution of Stones, who starts out as a centre back and has now tucked into a midfield role. And we see Klopp copying that style with Trent Arnold-Alexander, right back and then tucked into the midfield. And then it is almost as if the Liverpool team becomes a back three to get an extra body in midfield when attacking. So again, I expect Stones to play a similar role in this game. Of course, Ake should, be there at the left back position and possibly a Kyle Walker at right back. And of course, Diaz should be the next center back, that towering, quality defender should be there at the center back position. In the midfield, the midfield three, I suspect Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne should be in and around the midfield area right there. Right there, Rodri as well. Rodri should be in there. Rodri might very well be the first name on that team sheet. So Rodri, quality speaks for itself. Linchpin in that Man City defensive mid position. And then, of course, the creativity and work rate of Kevin De Bruyne and the technical skills of Kovacic. Bernardo Silva may possibly be situated on one of the flanks or, rotate in and out. Of course, Haaland should be leading the line up front, and your guess is as good as mine. Foden may very well come in and play one of those front attacking position. But the quality is there regardless of who plays. As I said, Pep is very unpredictable. It's hard to judge his teams, but that should pretty much be some of the key players, the key cogs in this Man City machinery that's keep rolling on and on. Of course, the usual tactical approach should be present by both teams. Both teams will look to play the ball out from the back, possession-based teams. So it should be a very interesting battle in the midfield zone to see who comes out on top. My money will be on the Man City team. I believe they have developed over the period greater team chemistry. Rice is now finding his footing in the middle. So I believe Man City should have the better of the midfield exchanges, especially with their superior technical skills. So while Rice may very well be a very active workhorse like player in the middle, he is just not technical enough to compete with the likes of a Rodri or a Silva or a Kevin De Bruyne. That is something Rice will need to add to his game as he gel into this Arsenal outfit. He does provide good defensive stability in terms of shielding the back four of Gabriel, mainly Gabriel and Saliba right there in the heart of the defense. He does an excellent job as a shield. But in terms of his distribution from that position, his passing, his range of passing as well, his quality on the ball, that may very well be an area he needs to develop going forward. Man City is already a well-drilled team in terms of that sort of philosophy. Everyone should be on the same page, firing. And of course, while they dominate possession, all it takes is for Haaland to get one chance. He is such a clinical striker. All he needs is a sniff. He could be out of the game for 89 minutes. And once he get that sight of goal in the 90th minute, it's lights out. So definitely Arteta and Arsenal has to be wary of that. Its statistics last year would have shown that oftentimes in games he has very few touches, but the touches he do get are lethal, lethal quality in terms of his striking and goal scoring ability. He is like a natural scorer. It's almost as if the ball has a way of just finding him. It's almost a magnetism pull that he has on the ball. It just drops. He just knows where to be for the ball to drop to him or for the ball to find him. So, definitely, possibly another 30 goal season in on the cards for Haaland. But in terms of as predicted scoreline, I can't see beyond a Man City win, to be honest. Man City coming off a treble winning season, Champions League winners, will be looking to get an early psychological edge on Arsenal. And of course, they will be looking on and be saying, hey, this team somewhat pushed us last season, in second. So let's go out and prove that we are champions. We are the defending champions and try to get a psychological edge. But again, it all depends on the approach that both managers take. For me, I would definitely test my mettle if I was Arteta So while I would go guns blazing, I would somewhat caution optimism. But if you do that, you're setting yourself up to fail against Man City. If you're gonna beat Man City, it has to be a all or nothing approach. You have to leave it fully on the field. And from what I've been seeing with Arsenal in their preseason build-up, defensively, they look a bit susceptible, a bit of complacency or overzealousness is creeping into the team. Possibly players not working hard enough. So very well, Arteta may need to make a defining decision when it comes to certain players if they're not pulling their weight in the Arsenal shirt. So this should be a very testing season for Arteta. He's looking to find the right formula, a formula which since this preseason, in my opinion, has been eluding him. He needs to strike the right balance in terms of players and their position. And thus far, I would say he is finding it a difficult task to come this year with the same level of enthusiasm, work rate, and team spirit and chemistry, which the Arsenal team had last year. Obviously, the addition of new players and the departure of some players as well is definitely a factor to consider in this, but he needs to find that formula quickly. Sometimes when a coach has too many options at his disposal, he find himself, running around in circles. I am very fearful that Arteta may fall into this situation. So many options on his hands. Which players the management of the players now becomes a challenge. Timber coming in would have been expecting to start. But who are you going to bench? Are you going to bench Ben White and let Timber play right back? Are you going to play Timber left back and tuck Zinchenko into the midfield? These are all questions that Arteta as a manager need to answer. And he needs to find his best 11 very quickly. Right now, I can't tell you which is the best 11 for Arsenal. Last year, you could close your eyes and pick the best 11. This year, it's a different situation. Mix that in with the injury to Jesus. Mix that in with the addition of Rice and the loss of a talismanic leader that cannot be counted out. The influence that Shaka had in the locker room. Odegaard may very well wear the armband on the field of play, but I am sure Shaka was a vocal figure in that dressing room and played a critical role in Arsenal's success, both on the field and just their whole demeanor and combativeness in games. Who will replace Shaka in that sense for this Arsenal outfit? In the past, oftentimes Arsenal was seen as soft, not very physical, a pushover. I fear that some of that may very well be creeping back into this Arsenal culture. Let's hope not. But Man City, Pep has nothing to lose. Pep has absolutely nothing to prove as well. He has proved all the haters and doubters. He has now won the treble, matching that Man United team of old. He has now won the Champions League. That's now off his back. So he should be coming into the season a much freer coach, a coach who can now put his football genius to the test, come up with some new tactics, some new formation, some new philosophies of playing. He has the freedom to experiment with various players in different positions. And I am sure throughout the season, you will be seeing some of that coming to the fore. I classify Pep almost as a tactical scientist. He is always experimenting, testing out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, playing players in positions which we as the onlookers may think they were not suited for. But Pep seemed to get the best out of his players, regardless of where he has them playing. Who would have thought John Stones 2, 3 years ago would be playing in the heart of a Man City midfield and winning a treble? I tell you, this man called Pep is really a genius, is really a genius. And we see other top coaches following the patterns he has set. And I think that is what sets him apart from many managers. When Pep puts out a tactic, the whole world stands up, recognizes it, and try to implement it in their own teams. And that is what sets him apart from other coaches of the past. Not only is he a real philosopher of the game, but the results he have had speak for themselves as well. And as I mentioned, it was him who glorified this trophy we now classified as the Community Shield. So I am certain he will be going guns blazing to get another trophy in his cabinet. And this will set the tone for the rest of the season as well. So I definitely believe Man City will take this one. It should be a tight, competitive game. However, I'm going to lean towards a 2-1 victory for Man City and pretty much start their campaign on a positive note. Hopefully, Arsenal will be able to give a good showing of themselves as well. It should be a tight affair. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal win as well, because personally, I view either team can win this. It's the first competitive game of the season. Players are still getting back their fitness. Tactic are still being experimented on. So any card can play really, but I think with the superior quality of this Man City team and with the genius who is Pep, I think they may very well have just enough to get over this Arsenal challenge and take this one 2-1. But viewers and subscribers, leave your comments in the comment section. Tell us what you think. How do you think the Reggae Girls will fear out against Colombia? Leave your score. Do you think the Reggae Girls has enough to, make it to the quarterfinals? Also, leave your score prediction for the Community Shield, Man City versus Arsenal. Again, viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to Beating the Press podcast. Thanks for the tremendous support you have been showing over the period. The way you can support the channel is by sharing. Share it on your various platform and help us to grow. Of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, please hit that subscription bell and continue to tune in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. But viewers and subscribers, until next time, this is Rafa signing off.